Welcome to the John and Tony Show. Once again, another Monday. Today we got all kinds of stuff coming on. We're talking about. I'm your host. That's what I want to talk about. Tony Scott, the John and Tony Show. Today, guys, we got a good show for you today. Today we're talking about. I can't even get this stuff going here. It's just crazy. It's crazy. It's a crazy night, and it's probably because we're talking about UFOs, aliens, and you got it. Area 51. What a place that is. Has anybody ever been out there? You really need to go check it out. Not that you're going to drive in and knock on the door and say, hey, I want to see some alien aircraft and I want to see those aliens that apparently you guys have. Everybody, we all know they're here. You're not going to be doing that because you're going to get caught. And by all means, don't try it. Go to the mailbox. Go to Mailbox Road. Take a little trip down Groom Lake Road. You can get as far as the camel does, but that's as far as you're going to get. And anyway, joining me today is my good friend John. He's joining us live via Skype. John, how you doing out there, bud?
Hey, doing good out here in old Indianapolis. Everything's cool.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Tony, last week's show was our first one. I thought it went over pretty well. I had some good reviews on that, and so kudos to you, sir, for making this all possible.
Oh, hey, not a problem. We're just. I thought yesterday. I thought last Monday was pretty good. I mean, we're just breezing through the show, and I kind of changed the format around. Instead of doing a lot of research, kind of basically want to do. Kind of do our point of view on what we think and not the show based on somebody else's research. But aliens, man, UFOs and aliens, that's got to be, everybody's seeing UFOs and aliens. Maybe not aliens, I think maybe aliens in a dream, but UFOs, not so sure. I mean, I've seen some, we all see some strange stuff in the skies. Some of it could be, mistaken as satellites, orbiting the Earth. But I think some of the things that maybe I've seen, as far as what maybe look like a satellite, you could see it maybe move across, and then it maybe kind of move back around, and then it would go from like a white dot and then it would just fade into nothing. It was just like booking south. I mean, that's about the only thing that that I've seen as far as UFOs go. Other than one of the things I saw out at the airport. Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, what do you think? Do you believe in UFOs?
Well, I want to tell you, Tony, when we decided to do this show, I'm excited about the show. First of all, Area 51 is amazing. It's a mystery. It's something that's been a mystery for years. Like you said, there's a lot of rumors about Area 51, what it really is. We know it's a government-owned or a government-run establishment out there. But yeah, I'm jazzed about this show and the UFOs and the aliens. And you asked me if I believe. For the record, absolutely. I absolutely believe, because I've seen on several occasions what you would call UFOs, which is unidentified flying objects. And for people that don't know that, I'm sure everybody pretty much knows that, but there might be a few people that don't know what that means. UFOs is an identified flying object, which doesn't necessarily mean it's an alien from outer space, a little green man or whatever, running his little spaceship here. It just simply means that the object that you're seeing in the sky, you don't know what it is. So it's an unidentified flying object. But yeah, I absolutely believe in UFOs in all aspects of the definition. I believe that some of the things that I've seen in the past are alien controlled. In other words, out of this world. And for me, it started my first sighting. I was probably about 13 years old. And I'll share this story real quick. I was at my grandmother's house, and it was probably about 1977-ish, 76. Anyway, a long time ago. I'm a young preteen or teenager. I'm at my grandmother's house visiting. My aunt came back from Germany. Anyway, it was a visit. And we're standing outside her front porch, and I see this white dot. Basically, looks like what you would call an orb today. It's just a white dot. Looked like a star. Very small, not very big. Well, I'm a kid. I'm bored. They're out there talking. I'm glancing up into the sky. Right? It's nighttime,
Right.
and I see this white dot do this, and it's moving around in all funky directions everywhere, and it stops and all that. So I'm like trying to get all my relatives' attention. Hey, look at that up there, and I'm grabbing them and everything, and they're just like, ignore me. I finally got their attention. So everybody's watching this thing in my family. There's probably about 10 people out front watching this thing. Even got my grandparents out of the house to come out and see it. They even saw it. And the funny thing about it was one dot moving around all over the place wildly, all kinds of directions, shifting here, shifting there. And then it stopped. And then the weird thing about it was it had these like little bitty ones coming out of it and circling around, almost looked like the mothership with the little ones coming out. And they were like coming, doing this circular thing. I still remember it even to this day.
Right.
And they kind of flew around the mothership, and then all of a sudden they all went back into the mothership, and then it's almost like this thing sensed that we were watching it, and it did one of these things, and then it's zoom and gone. So that was my first encounter with seeing the UFO. You go, and then you fast forward several years later. I'm in my 20s, right?
Right.
And I see one outside my mom and dad's home. I was still living at their house. I think I might have been 19 or 18. And I seen one, just by itself.
Right.
Nothing coming out of it, just by itself. And I've seen probably about 3 or 4, maybe 4 times. I've seen different craft. One instance, I was in my 30s. I'm driving home from work. It's late at night. I work the late shift, and I lived out in the country. And I saw this thing just flying, and it took off to the left. And then I drove about 10 or 15 more miles, and I seen it come back across, and it went the other direction, and it was gone. But the funny thing about this one is I looked up on the UFO sightings website, and it's a pretty credible site. And it had listed the same night that I saw this UFO in the same area, and it actually logged the path of the UFO with radar. And it was the same one I saw that night, so it actually happened. It wasn't like a figment of my imagination. And they documented the thing. I'm in Indiana at the time. I'm in southern Indiana. They documented the thing going all the way from Chicago, Illinois, past Indianapolis, all the way down to like Bloomington, Indiana, into Kentucky, back across, and all the way up to almost Canada.
Wow.
But that was the object I seen. So
Crazy stuff.
the last time, yeah, very very crazy stuff, Tony. So let's just share a little bit of my personal UFO sightings experience rather. So.
Right.
And I know you living out there in Vegas and by Area 51, you've seen a lot of stuff. So I'll let you take it over now and talk about some of your experiences.
There's not. You got to turn this off here. Yeah, being out here in Vegas, I've seen. I think there was a time. Well, I didn't mean to throw that graphic on here, there, guys. Hang on one second here. Let me get this off here. Yeah, a lot of stuff happens there in Vegas. As far as things that I've seen, I think one of the peculiar things that I saw here at the house is just before they had just after my house was built, our bedroom or my bedroom overlooked a nice open field, and you could see the mountains and everything like that. And I think one night there's on the mountain. I was outside looking out towards the north. A little red dot looked like it come off the mountain. It come off the mountain and just kind of flying slow. I'm not real sure what it was. And then it kept going and kept going, and it looked like it was going further north, and then it just sort of dissipated. And I got to thinking, I said, man, what in the world is that? And then I'm thinking, well, I don't know. Then next thing you know, I saw it again. I saw another one. and it kind of would remind you of back in, I think, 1994 or 95, the Phoenix Lights, where they thought they were dropping flares. And I said, well, that can't be a flare, because a flare just doesn't keep taking off to the, it took off to the left. And then that one disappeared. And I'm thinking, well, what in the world is that? And that was one of the peculiar. And I wish I would have had. I did go inside, ran upstairs, got my camera, my high def camera, and then went back out. Next thing you know, nothing. Because it always happens that way. Every time you see something, you can never really get it on film. And then, but that, not only that, I saw something even better than that, which was out at the airport. I think it could have been about maybe 8 years ago. Excuse me, could have been about eight or 9 years ago. I'm sitting outside, and of course I work out at the airport, and I'm sitting outside the gates, and watching the planes. They were landing from the north.
Right.
They're landing to the north, and it would just got through raining, real cloudy, and you could see the nose gear lights of the airplane as they're coming in for a landing, right? Well, I get to looking, and then I see another light, and it's just standing there. It's just still. It's just still, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, well, that's another airplane. Maybe that. Well, I'm not sure if that's an airplane or not. And I kept looking at it, and it didn't move. And I'm thinking, well, okay, if it's an airplane, it'll come through the clouds, and of course it'll land, And I'm thinking, it's not moving, and it's just sitting there. Then I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, well, I don't know, I don't get it. And then next thing you know, it took off from where it was at. It took off this way and stopped. And I'm thinking, hang on a second. That is not an airplane. And next thing you know, another one showed up and did the same thing. It did the same thing. I'm sitting there going, that cannot be. What in the world is that? And then at the direction, of course, Area 51 is clear the other way. And this direction would have been, towards, it was, south. So it may have been, it looked like it was over maybe Henderson Executive Airport, but of course it had to been further out than that. Because I don't know how big it would actually be in actuality, if it would land somewhere, how big it was. But the lights were pretty, it was pretty, the bluish light, bluish white, maybe a little yellow red. Oh yeah, kind of gleam, kind of just gleaming. Yeah. Next thing you know, lo and behold, I get on the phone and I call a friend of mine who's up in the Dalles. He used to work for the airlines, and he actually got another job working in video. So I call him up and I said, "Hey Tony," I said, "get on the internet and see if somebody posted anything or is something about UFOs in Nevada or in Las Vegas." He's all over the website. He goes, "No, I don't see anything." I said, "Man, well, these things are taking off. Who knows how fast they're going? But when it was into the left direction, next thing you know, it just shot off and left. It left, and I was speechless." And the phone I had at that time was one of them cheapy phones. Yeah. And I figured, well, I was going to try videotape it, and I'm thinking, well, you know what? At night with this cheap phone, I'm figuring the resolution is not going to be good. It'd be all pixelated, and you wouldn't be able to see it anyway.
Couldn't make
that
it out.
Had been the most.
Well, the question is too, like what you just cited, what you're describing, what you saw. Do you think it's one of ours, or do you think it's alien?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, you look at all the videos that you see about UFOs and aircrafts. I mean, of course, you get the UFOs. They date back. They date back a long time. And as a matter of fact, I was going to do a show before we even started doing this show. A couple years ago, I was going to do a show on the return of Project Blue Book. and I got all some show notes together and everything I got together, and I meant to have the binder with me today. I had a binder of every UFO reported sighting from day one to now, or maybe a couple years ago, and it's thick. Now whether they're ours or not, I mean, you look at 1948 and in Roswell where that crashed, and it's hard to say if they're ours or not. I mean, UFO, even if there was UFOs, they're not going to come to our Earth and just crash out of nowhere. Because if they're so advanced and so sophisticatedly advanced, they're not crashing. And from what I recall during that investigation, the cause of that craft was radar. So they flipped on some radar, and apparently
messed it up.
It jacked with the control systems, and that's why they crashed. And matter of fact, there's more than one that crashed in 48. Actually, one crashed in Roswell. The other one was in White Sands somewhere. It just crashed somewhere else.
I remember reading about that too. Yeah.
You know, and they took that was before Area 51, but they took the wreckage to Dayton Air Force Base, and apparently that wreckage now is in the Area 51 facility now.
Oh, really? They took it out of Wright-Patterson and then. Yeah,
they took it to Wright-Patterson, and then they shipped that stuff all the way over to Area 51 area. But
yeah,
if they're ours, I would have to say I doubt it, because there's nothing that we didn't have that type of technology back then.
No, especially in the 40s.
It would have to be,
no way we had that technology.
Yeah, it would have to be from another planet. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and the whole thing about Roswell too. I'm not buying the weather balloon theory.
Oh, I'm not either.
When that story was first released, of course, anybody that follows, UFOs, they know the Roswell thing.
Right.
We're not saying anything that no one already knows that follows it. But what I think was really interesting is that the Air Force the original report is that an alien spaceship crashed, which I believe that to be accurate. And then they came back and said, "Oh no, it was a weather balloon, and test dummies were the bodies that they found recovered and all that stuff." And of course, now the guys that were living back then, they're all dying off now. And before they're dying, their testimony is like, "Yeah, it really was an alien. And, I did see an alien. These are the ex-Army guys and Air Force guys that are all coming forward and saying." But I believe Roswell really did happen. Now you made that comment about radar system took it out. I never really thought about that, but you make a good point, and you make a good point about they're so sophisticated craft. Yeah, I mean the chances of them crashing is not going to happen unless it's caused by something we're doing or a fluke of nature rather.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
But yeah, that's a good point you brought up about that. But,
no, it'd have to be radar. I mean, even the material that Ramsey picked up, he had a piece of it and took it back to his place, and they could not cut into it. They would crush it. They would wad it up like a piece of paper, and then let it go, and it would come back to its normal state. They couldn't, like I said, they couldn't poke a hole. They couldn't do anything to it.
Yeah.
And then I come to find out there is a product that is made here on our world that's called Kevlar, and Kevlar has the same characteristics as that piece of material that Ramsey had.
Which the military uses that heavily today. Yeah.
Oh, of course they do. Of course they do. And then I remember when they, well, of course I wasn't alive back in 48 or 47, but they did put in the papers that it was a UFO, and then later turned around and said no, it's a weather balloon.
Yeah.
But there's one interesting characteristics that UFO related incidences have, and that thing is they all involve the military. Almost every single one, every single major one, such as Kecksburg, the military was involved in. You have Rendlesham Forest, which the military was involved in. You have Area 51, which the military was involved in. I mean, those are the three big major ones that I know of that kind of get you to think, well, if the military is all involved in all these incidences, well, then maybe the military has extreme interest in them, which would be true because they don't want some Joe Blow to pick up on this UFO and drag it back home and then make it public to everyone. They want to keep the military wants to keep it a secret, so that's why they're immediately there. I mean, within minutes, I would say less than a half hour, you got the military quarantine the area and they're gathering all the evidence up, and so you kind of wonder if it's ours. Where did we ever get that knowledge back then, let alone today? Back then, where did we get that knowledge?
Well, you bring up a good point, because you think about it, and I'll use the example of cell phone like I did on our last show. Here's a cell phone. Look how much we could do with this device. And this device was just invented probably, well, what would you say, like 6 or 7 years ago? Well, I mean, smartphones probably about 8 years ago, but I mean, my point is, in 1945, they didn't have this. It wasn't even close. We were using tubes. And transistors weren't even invented yet. It seems kind of weird. It's like after the Roswell incident, in similar cases, like you said, we went from tubes in 1940s to this in 2017 in that short a time span. You know, I got more technology here than NASA had all in the 60s in the palm of my hand. Like probably 4 times more power than technology and computer power, and gigabytes, whatever you want to call it. However you want to describe it. Anyway, there's a lot more technology in that little handheld. So it's like, how did we get so advanced, move so quick on that? And now we got like nanotechnology and all that. That could be a different show, but.
Oh, sure.
But my point is this: is like, are we gaining this knowledge from recovered craft, alien craft that we're back engineering? I believe that we are.
Oh, we could be.
And you got some information, I know, about some of the guys, or one of the guys that worked out in Area 51.
I'll let
you talk about that a little bit. You know, the back engineering thing and all that. It's all related to Area 51.
Yeah, as far as the UFOs go, they could be. Let's see. There's another incident. There's another incident that would actually tie Area 51, where everybody thinks these UFOs are. The incident was with Kenneth Arnold. He was a private pilot in 47, 48. He was flying above Mount Rainier, and then he reported seeing 9 saucer-shaped discs flying outside his airplane. Okay, when he went to report that, which he did, I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure, he didn't report it to the, I think he reported it to the local authorities.
Okay.
He actually drew a picture of what he saw. Okay, but I found out later that he drew a secondary picture and then turned that in instead. Now I find that kind of strange. Why would he draw one then draw another one?
Yeah, exactly.
I think somebody told him to draw a different picture.
Cover up.
Or else.
Yeah.
Right. Now that ties in to Area 51. Now, in Area 51, there's a facility that a lot of people don't know about, and if you do your research on Area 51, you'll end up finding out. But there's another compound just about 12 miles southwest of Area 51 called S4. Now, believe it or not, in in the late 80s, there was a guy named Bob Lazar who worked for not Area 51, but worked for S4 as a research specialist, research engineer, and he was hired to back engineer these alien aircraft to find out how it was made. Now, when you get to, the only way to get to Area 51 is out at McCarran, and you take Janet. Janet flies you about 90 miles north to the facility, to the compound there, and from there, he said he was bussed in a bus, blacked out windows. From there, somewhere, he didn't know where he says, I had no clue where we're going, but you couldn't see out the windows. But it was about 10 or 15 minutes later that they stopped, got out, and then he was led into a building, then led into another office to be briefed. And then they came in, and he said they came in and gave him a bunch of material, pamphlets, booklets on aliens and stuff like that to go over. He described, not long after that he saw 9 saucer-shaped discs.
Interesting.
Now that's in the 80s. That's 88. You date back to Kenneth Arnold.
In the 40s.
Saw 9.
Yeah.
So 9 is pretty big, significant number as far as how many Ken saw versus Bob Lazar. So,
then you could have been the same ones.
So what were they doing flying around Mount Rainier? Who knows? Maybe there was like 9 guys from Area S4 just taking them out for a trip and then coming back. Who knows? Ken never said where they went. They just flying around and then just off and disappeared.
Wow.
But being, Bob Lazar's, I saw a lot of his interviews, and he busted he opened the lid on Area 51, and that's just he said if he could take it all back, he would just keep his mouth shut and work as what they wanted him to work for. But
and
he actually went inside the alien aircraft. He saw he showed how big the seats were and all this stuff, and one thing led to another. After he got out of after his job was done, or after the day was done, he actually got with some friends of his and took them out to where Area 51 was. He knew when the testing of these aircraft were going to be, and it was maybe a Wednesday or Thursday. But he took a bunch of friends out there, and lo and behold, they're flying around.
There they were. Wow. Yeah.
So then they of course they came and talked to Lazar and his friends and said, you have no clue what you've just done, blah blah blah. And then one thing led to another, and he no longer lives there. And he was one of the big candidates of the UFO craze, not really, maybe not a craze, but the interest to people. So they looked into his story and looked into his background, and they can't find diddly squat.
Isn't that amazing?
He was in what? He went to Los Alamos. Those records gone. There's no records of him ever being in Area 51. Scrap, gone, completely gone. So
the government can make you disappear. Basically.
Oh, no doubt. Oh,
you know what I mean? Really, they can.
That.
You're talking about Area 51. It was rumored too, and I think it's pretty true. Back in Eisenhower's day, President Eisenhower, he didn't know. He had heard rumors that there was something going on out there in Area 51, but he really didn't know what it was. Right. And the people that were running Area 51 told President Eisenhower, says, well, you did. He says, I want to know what's going on out there. What's going on? Right. Here he is. He's the sitting president of the United States. And they told him, the powers that be, you don't need to know that. So Eisenhower, being the guy that he was, he was a tough guy. He says, well, you tell me. And I don't even know if Eisenhower, I didn't even know if he was president yet. He might have been head of the military at the time. Either way, he said that if you don't show me and tell me what's going on out there, I'm going to march my military out there and I'm going to find out. So then they went, oh, okay. And then supposedly they told him what was going on. And supposedly he made deals with aliens. This is all speculation, but that's strong stories I've heard through different connections, But I just felt that was interesting to bring that up.
Yeah.
That was so secretive. And nowadays they say that they've actually moved Area 51. I mean, Area 51 is actually there physically, but they've actually moved the programs they were doing there. Most of them are somewhere else now. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah. Most of
I don't know if it's S4 or who knows. The government knows, and if we knew, the government would shut us down, but we don't know.
There's another person of interest that many people don't know is Jackie Gleason had a conversation.
Oh yeah.
Not sure what conversation who he had
Nixon.
it with, but it was on the golf course.
With Nixon, right?
I think it was.
Yeah, President Nixon. Yeah.
It is extremely interesting. I mean, as far as Area 51 goes, I mean, that place, it exists. I mean, they kept it a secret for quite some time. From 55, when the CIA first found the establishment and did some work on the A-12, and the A-12 aircraft was used for spying because they wanted to spy on the Russians. The Russians spying on us, we're spying on we're spying on the Russians spying on us. So we build the A-12. It flies at high altitudes, and so we can overlook and see what's going on.
Right.
And there's other projects that were out there, as far as Project Rainbow, Project Oxcart. I know when they were working on the A-12. The CIA told the press, which in turn tells everybody else, that it was a military aircraft that was taken off from Watertown, Nevada, to do weather observations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, I get it, and I get some of the other aircrafts that, as far as the Blackbird, the F-117A was housed there. That actually, there was another aircraft that was built that I got something.
What's the SR-75? One of them too?
Well, yeah.
No, that was one of our spy planes back in the 60s.
Yeah,
yes,
they were looking at from 55 to the early 60s. Area 51 got a big upgrade, got a huge upgrade, because they were working on the A-12. As a matter of fact, the A-12 was being designed and worked on in Burbank, California, and just prior to them trying to figure out how to get that airplane over to Area 51, they were doing some nuke testing, believe it or not.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
Because
yeah.
the facility, the testing ground, the proving ground up there was big back then for atomic testing and stuff like that. And they upgraded the place and then moved the A-12 over to Area 51, and then proceeded to do many more tests with that aircraft. And not only that aircraft, they needed an aircraft that would be invisible to radar.
Right.
So they had built another aircraft, which was in 1978. The Air Force took over that facility and started building a project called Have Blue, which was the F-117. I do.
Yeah,
yeah, because they were testing some RAM, which is the radar absorbent material, which was just a type of material that they coated the airplane skin with, so it would be invisible to radar.
Yeah, and radar just bounces off of it. Is that how it works? I think it's how it works, or absorbs.
Yeah,
it.
The thing
Radar
just bounced
absorbs
off
it,
of
and it does.
They said we can't see anything. It's
either way,
pretty
it
much
works.
invisible.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, it worked with, like you said, the 111-17. Because the first Gulf War, man, we tried it out and it worked real well.
Right.
The Iraqi government didn't even military to see their planes come.
It didn't take until, I think, in the early 90s, because nobody knew about Area 51 anyway. Not even from 1955 to right around to 1993, 94. Because
Right.
the facility, what happened in Area 51 that got them noticed is they had equipment and materials that were burned in trenches as big as a football field. And there had to have been about 7 or 8 of trenches that they burned this material 24 hours a day for 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yes, and it looked like, from some of the research that I did, it looked like nothing but London fog. And the fallout was incredible. The fallout
That might be why we're
was
all
incredible.
That might be why we're all coughing today.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
Well, we got
But
these,
yeah, anyway,
these,
there was a lawsuit
bugs.
brought against that facility for that, so they had to open that up.
Oh,
And then lo and
okay.
behold, the lawsuit never got heard from, since Clinton actually he signed a determination that excluded Groom Lake from any investigation on the grounds of national security. So go figure.
Yeah.
So he never won his lawsuit. It never got heard. It just got dismissed.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to wonder. Even in one of the Bob Lazar interviews that you can find out on you can just look up Bob Lazar in any search, Google search, or just go YouTube search. Some of his interviews, they ask him, are there aliens and UFOs at Area 51? And his answer is no, which is true, because that facility was a top secret facility for research, not for UFOs.
Right.
But he said the UFOs that you're looking for are further south at S4, which I believe.
Yeah.
Now there are he kind of going backwards. He said he saw 9 hangar bay doors. Now this is from the inside of the facility. That you walk down this long corridor and you see these 9 hangar bay doors. Well, lo and behold, there is some places you can find on some videos on YouTube that people go. You go to Google Earth, right, and you zoom down on S4 and you kind of scout around on a satellite view, and they post. They post the video. They can see the outline.
Yeah.
Of what looks like 9 hangar bay doors, and they do the drawing. They do the drawing, whatever, which
Kinda
looks like
highlighted.
it. Today
Yeah.
you can't find it. I tried to look for it the last, a few days ago, and I'm all over S4. I zoom into S4, get the satellite view, kind of scroll around, kind of moving the area around, and I don't see any indication of where there could be any hangar bay doors at all.
You wonder if they made him.
Could have covered it up.
They made him edit it out.
Oh,
With
yeah, they
Google's-
could have covered it up. They could have went on the outside and, painted the door, repainted them, repainted them to look like the landscape,
Well, with the Google search, they might have done something to the software too to goof that up, so no one could see it.
Oh yeah,
I guess they did that. I guess they did that with the moon. The Google moon or whatever.
Right.
There's some controversial type stuff, and I guess they just you can't see it now. They got ways of erasing that stuff. You never know, they might have done that.
Right. So we don't know if there's aliens out there or whatever. It could be the bubblegum alien blowing bubblegum. Who knows? We don't. That just you just gotta
just
laugh.
blowing bubble gum, you
gotta laugh at it though. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Tony. The nice thing is, man, you live right out there, and you've driven out there by Area 51.
Oh yeah, I've been out there.
So you've taken pictures and stuff, and I mean, you could, you've seen it. You're right out there, and they still have it heavily guarded, don't they? I mean,
it's guarded. Oh yeah, you could go up. You go 93. You can go through Mercury. You're not going to get but a couple hundred yards off the freeway, and you got to turn around. Or you can go the back. You can go the back way through. Take 15 to 93 through Crystal Springs. I'll stop by the little alien. Looks like a big old hangar. If anybody's ever interested, go there. They got a huge, not huge, a big facility as far as gifts go, T-shirts, T-shirts or whatever.
A tourist trap or alien?
It's a tourist trap.
For alien followers, anyway. Yeah.
But here's a map of the area. If anybody, it's 4808. It's a restricted airspace. Area 51 covers 440 square miles of restricted airspace. You ain't getting in. I mean, that's just the way it goes.
It ain't happening.
No, it's not happening. You can go down, like I said, off of 375. You can take Groom Lake Road, and this is about as far as you're going to get. This is the picture of the don't go past here, or we're just going to arrest you.
Shoot you.
We're going to arrest you, and you're not going to see. You'll
tomorrow. Disappear from the planet.
Yeah, you can go. There's no. I see people taking pictures and they take video. They say you're not supposed to take video, but I don't think they really give a crap what you do. As long as you don't cross the border and come in, they don't really care. But the camo dudes, they call them the camo dudes. They're up there, as you can see, they're up there on top of the hill. They monitor you, to find out, just making sure you're not doing anything stupid.
I'm sure today that we have disc aircraft that we've invented. I'm guaranteed we got kind of flying disc. The government does, Matter of fact, these sightings you hear about all the time, and I'll plug a guy's website that I follow quite a bit, Secure Team Tyler's site. It's really good, UFO.
Oh yeah, right.
He's strictly a UFO guy. But anyway, he talks about, and people will send in videotapes of the triangular shape with the three lights on the bottom, triangular shaped crafts.
Right.
I honestly believe that those are ours. I think that we've made, the government has those. That's just my own personal opinion. But I think that those are ours. Now I think those little bitty white dots that look like stars I seen back in the 70s.
Right.
Seen again in 2000. I don't believe those are ours. I believe those are alien spacecraft there.
Right.
They've even showed live. They used to do live satellite feeds from the space shuttle. They stopped doing that. And there was one that was leaked out back in 2000 or late 90s where one of these UFOs is heading down the white variety, the white dot star variety looking one, is heading out into the globe, actually by Australia, coming in from outer space, going down towards Australia. And then you see all of a sudden, these lasers. This is a freaky thing too, and I've seen it a couple times. It's real. You see these lasers, all of a sudden, you see the thing, okay, back up again. Okay, you see the thing fly in towards Australia.
All right.
Then all of a sudden you see it zoom back out. And then like 3 seconds after it's zooming back out into space, you see lasers firing from Australia. That's a true story. And really, they accidentally filmed it from the shuttle, and it was accidentally released, and then they blocked it, they took it down. But some people still got it. But anyway, we got a U.S. has a big base in Australia, and we have lasers in Australia. Right. So theoretically, what we were doing, or not really theoretically, it's proof. The UFO alien spaceship was flying in, and we shot at it.
And we shot at
But it took
right?
off before they even had a chance to hit.
Go ahead.
It's just something that's just weird, that's actually happened, and that's true. It's filmed by NASA.
Right. Right. If
Crazy.
even if there were guys, even if there were aliens, I mean, do you think they would be friendly? I mean, seriously. I mean, because we don't even know if they're hostile, if they want to take over our planet, if they're
Right.
flying in and out of our atmosphere for a reason, and do you
Right.
really want to meet one? I mean, I always told myself, I tell myself, guys, I say, hey, listen, Tony, if you saw a UFO land and a door open, would you get in? You know what? I probably would. I'm as crazy.
I might
I'm
have
as
to take the
crazy as
show
they come.
by myself, folks.
I would get
If he
in and
disappears,
say,
you know what happened.
let's take a tour of the universe.
Yeah,
So
they do that.
guys, I'm gonna tell our audience out there, I believe in them because of what I saw. I can't explain the aircraft that went from point A to point B in less than a couple seconds. I can't explain it, and then it went this way, and it's just fast. I mean, I can't explain that, and we don't have that technology to fly that fast.
And I don't think
If we
so.
did, and we built these things from alien technology, well, okay. I mean, I'm good with that too. But why don't we just go make it public? Make all the whole. What is the advantage or disadvantage? Who cares if there's aliens? Put them on the news. Start talking to them.
Right. I'm going to tell you something. I think it's all starting to break now. You see a lot of shows coming out and a lot of podcasters and people posting shows like Tyler's, for example. Plug his show again. If you get a chance, check out Secure Team. Anyway, with all this evidence coming out, the government can't keep it under the rug for very much longer.
That's true.
It's gonna come out. I've been believing in them since the 70s, and I remember I was in high school and it leaked out. Kids made fun of me and everything. Johnny's a whack job. He believes in aliens, blah, 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 blah. And now half these people I think I went to school with probably believe him now. But, even as recent as this month, I think it was on January 1st or something like that, we've had some weird stuff happening. I don't know if you've heard about it. We got these big flashes in the sky and stuff, and they're calling them meteorites. We had one just fly over Indiana just a few days ago, lit up the sky.
Right,
and they said, it was a meteor.
Wasn't that in Michigan?
And the flashes in Russia, the same thing. And I don't believe that all these are meteors, man. That's my personal opinion.
Right.
And then the news just kind of blows it off. The news goes, yeah, there was they think it was a meteor. Did you see that? And people are filming it. It's like lights up, illuminates the whole sky at night. I mean, it's like white.
I know,
It turns dark to day.
Right.
Only for a few seconds, but man, it's stuff just flying. There's a lot of weird stuff going on right now. A lot of that flashing alien. It's alien because we don't know what it is. Flying in from space into our atmosphere and disappearing. And they would say they show this huge, quote unquote, meteor, but yet it never hits the Earth. That they say, and it's something that big, you would think it would not burn completely up on impact. That it would hit the Earth. Either that or the government's testing some kind of new weapon, or a foreign government's launching something. Who knows? Maybe it's Kim Jong-un or over there or something. I don't know.
Who knows?
Anyway, I just think it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's the thing about Area 51. You guys, it's a big research facility. It was used for spying, for making stuff to spy on to other nations, and whatever. I'm good with it. And they stopped making all these. They stopped making all these top secret projects simply because technology evolved to the point where we're launching satellites. So we don't need the aircraft to fly at high altitudes over whatever country you want to fly over. We just got satellites that are continuously flying over 24/7.
Yeah, I think I think you're right. The technology has changed now.
Right.
It's not so much in airplanes. The drones are huge now.
A final note I got to say is I believe in them. Now,
I do too.
Now
as
the
well.
alien, with the nice, almond-shaped eyes.
Oh, what they call the grays.
Whatever.
Yeah.
There's different species of them. There's the reptilians, there's the grays, there's the whites, there's the whatever. There's the lizard people. I mean, come on now. You start getting a little comical, and I tend to say, well, I've never seen one. I haven't even seen one in a dream. So you can't tell me that, I woke up and there was 3 of them at the foot of my bed. Well,
although
I'm pretty sure you're probably just dreaming that. I'm thinking you're dreaming it, because they're just not going to appear in your room. I don't care.
Although on the flip side of that, though, the ex-prime minister of Canada said that he had evidence and he leaked it. He said there's been several species of aliens visiting the Earth, and they're still here today.
Right. They say they think they're still living with us now.
You've heard that story, right?
They think, of course. Yeah, from the UK. Oh, of course. The UK's big on that stuff.
Yeah, UK and Canada.
Oh, yeah. Both. Canada's big on it. Oh, of course.
And the Mexican president says he believes in them, so.
Russia's big on it as well. I mean, as far as the flying saucers, I'm thumbs up. I got it. I believe in it. Yeah. As far as the alien, the little, everybody's seeing Close Encounters of the Third Kind, right?
Right.
As far as them walking out of a spaceship and leading the kid and everybody, people come out because they've been gone for many years from abduction, and then leading people in there that want to take off and just go to another planet. Well, you got to have some hard proof for me. Number one is you don't have hard proof.
Right.
Number two is you still don't have hard proof.
Right.
Even maybe number 3 is you don't have any video of it. You don't have any pictures of it. So as far as the little green men, I'm gonna slide my scale down to maybe.
Yeah, you're not. Chance. Yeah, you're not so much sold on that right now.
No, I'm not sold.
Now I've seen some video supposedly. Excuse me for banging it. Of aliens. Now I don't know. Some of it looks pretty convincing, but the way technology is today, it could be faked.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But personally myself, I've never seen an alien being. It'd be kind of cool if I did. I think, I don't know, might scare me, shootless.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem. That's the problem with humans. That's the problem.
But I have seen UFOs, though. But here's the thing, though, Tony, we got to think about, though. If we've seen UFOs, which we have, that we believe are not made by human beings, then they got to be made by aliens, right?
Yeah, I think it's one of the biggest problems I have with the aliens is they're depicted as something else. Because if you look at Fire in the Sky, it was a movie made back in 1975 about Travis Walton in Arizona.
Yeah.
You guys go Google it, watch it. But the movie was made in a false pretense because Travis Walton has been trying to get a hold of Hollywood to try remake the movie to where it was the way he saw it.
The way it really happened.
And they actually refused to do it. But when you get abducted by these guys and they're doing testing on you and and you can't move, you're frozen and you're scared, and then you hear Tom, Dick, and Harry, Joe, Jim, Bob, Sue, and everybody else who's been abducted, their experience is all horrifying. Well, it makes it horrifying. It makes it to the point where I'm afraid of these aliens. But ladies and gentlemen, they may be just as nice as pie. They may be like, going to grandma's house and having some apple pie and some ice cream. Who knows? We don't know, but we portray them as being because some people claim them to be demonic. There's no proof of that.
Right.
There's no solid proof of that at all.
A lot of people that claim, some of my relatives that think that. Well, the thing is, with my opinion on the alien thing, you're talking about that abduction thing.
Right.
I think they have no emotions for us either way. We're just testing. They're just testing us. Kind of like when you take the dog to the vet and you put a chip in the dog, whatever. It's not that they're trying to be cruel to the dog, and they probably like the dog, but the dog don't know what's happening, and the animals don't know that they tag and stuff. They don't know what's happening, and they're freaking out,
Could
but
be
really,
we're
just studying.
By all means, could be the opposite way.
So I think that's what they're doing with us. I think they're just studying us. I think anything like that that's happening. Like I said, I've never experienced that myself. I hope I don't. Really, I really don't want to be.
Oh, yeah.
tagged
Wouldn't
by
that just be?
alien. Not to be sounding funny,
There
but
was, you know,
really, I don't want to be touched by an alien.
There was an
But,
experience I had. I'll have to share later, but because we're running way out of time here.
Yeah, we're about
we'll share some of that other stuff later, guys. You know, we may do another episode on you know, what John and I we'll get together with John and we'll do something on abduction. We'll talk about Travis Walton and we'll talk about some other abduction stories and what I believe to be abductions and stuff like that. But you know, in the meantime, you know, I think I believe, but it's kind of so as far as the alien, as far as the little green men and stuff like that. Because like I said, I've never seen them. But you know, what do we got coming up next Monday, John? You know?
All right, yeah, we do have a good show next Monday that I'm really happy to be doing this one. Is your life pre-programmed for you? In other words, from the time you're born to the time you die, is everything already set up for you? Do we really have control of our lives? So it's predestination. We're going to talk about that one. That'll be interesting to talk about. And like I said, we'll talk about that one next Monday, but it'll be a good one. Your life pre-programmed.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff, Tony.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, I'm gonna take it out from here. We appreciate you joining the show. You know, John and I are gonna continue doing this every Monday with very interesting topics, even more interesting than the UFOs and aliens and stuff like that. So we hope that you will join John and I next Monday. As John said, we're gonna be talking about predestination. And we want you to be there. For John Allen, I'm Tony Scott. We'll see you next Monday.